Everybody, this is Grace. In this video, I'm going to talk about people who couldn't tell the truth to save their lives. I think that's the way people usually put it. They just lie for any reason, and some of the things you wouldn't even expect anybody to lie about, and they do it anyway. And then I think in some instances they get a kick out of you believing them. Well, you wouldn't expect anybody to lie about that anyway, like I just said. So yeah, you would believe them, because sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction, but they just come up with fictional things. Now, I see them as more in the narcissistic histrionic blend of behaviors, but more than that. A bit like there's the dark triad and dark tetrad. It's kind of like, I call it the dramatic, this is histrionic triad kind of thing. Their behaviors are just so, they like the drama. They like the drama of it all. It brings about some kind of chaos, and some of it isn't like they're flat out lying. They're just telling you something that's not true, like making a statement. Oh, guess what happened when I was at the store? And they tell some story. No, it's not always like that. It can also be like, if you're going to the store, say, well, make sure you do this. Oh, okay, I'll do that. Or make sure you call these people. Oh, okay, I'll do that. And they have no intention, absolutely no intention of doing anything that they said that they would do. Now, you should, some people say, well, you shouldn't be telling people what to do. And it's one of those situations like, oh, I'm going to be gone for a week. Will you make sure, anything like that? Not as a parent, not in that kind of way. Or they make a promise to you that they're going to do something and you didn't even ask them to. They just made the promise and they had no intention of doing it. That whole thing with no intention, just thinking is kind of fun to them to see that if you would believe it. Or it could even be just they're not even listening. Okay, they're really not listening. Their mind is somewhere else about what they're doing. Their mind is on themselves. And they didn't hear a word you said. Okay. And there could also be that of them saying they're not going to do something and they do it. But there's so many, it's like, and it's kind of so twisted sometimes that it's like they always have something up their sleeves. That was an old expression too. Something up their sleeves that they're the end. I never liked the end result. That's a, kind of redundant, but they had that goal of setting things up. It's kind of like if, when I was young, the only time that we ever could really lie about something was on April Fool's Day. Set up a little prank, set up a little story, and that was it. That was about it. But they do that on a constant, regular basis. They're setting up some kind of story. So on whatever day they're going to say April Fool, but it's not even April Fool's Day. It's just fun to them. They get a kick out of it. It just pleases them that they can con people, they can make people believe them when there's absolutely no truth to what they're saying. And it's really, now I've said all this, think about what it's like to be the person who has seen this in various people repeatedly their whole life. Think about that for a minute. What would it be like? Could you trust people? Now, this is something that I have experienced seeing pretty much all of my life. I couldn't say what I experienced when I was an infant, or even a toddler, too much. I think the oldest is 3 that I remember. But seeing constantly people, it's like you can have no faith in them at all. For certain, at some point it's like, I've been fooled so many times by you, and they do that with a little bit of, something like intermittent rewards, and they will not lie sometimes, not lie. So it's like, okay, pardon the blinker. But yeah, sometimes they lie, then they won't. And then they lie, won't lie, like that. You see what I'm saying? So you get caught up in this kind of crazy cycle. When are they telling the truth? Telling the truth? I mean, this can go on for many, many years, especially like if it's somebody that you're not around very often, and you just don't have much to do with them, and then next thing you know, you might get a phone call from them, say a family member, dysfunctional family member, and you get a call, and they say something, and so you're going to believe it. There's some kind of story, but it's all fake. It's all a lie. It's just them wanting, that little bit of fun, to have a little fun, telling a lie. You're seeing do you still believe me now? That's what's in their mind. I wonder if they're still going to believe me. Maybe that's what's in their mind. Who knows? Okay, pardon me, I have my mask on. Now, where was I? But I was talking about imagine being the person. Now, maybe you don't want to imagine that, being that kind of person. But, so it makes it very difficult. It could make it very difficult for this type, this person who's been around a bunch of liars, just habitual liars, pathological liars, just lie, whatever reason. They're having fun with it. It's just a habit to them. They cannot tell the truth. They're not listening, whatever it is. Okay. Like I said, how difficult could that make it to trust anyone? To the point where a person can feel a bit, too suspicious of anybody, everybody, or just downright paranoid. But not in the type of way to be diagnosed, but who knows? It could go that way. I mean, or did it teach a person a good thing? Don't always believe, don't always trust just because they seem nice. They seem like they wouldn't. Or the story is bizarre, or, too bizarre, you can't make this stuff up, kind of thing. But they did make it up. It's a habit of theirs to make up crazy stories and say, really, you just can't make this stuff up. When they're twisting everything around. Some of them are just twisting things around. Where was I? Yeah. But yeah, I think that some of the things that I don't know how to put it, but it's kind of in a way makes it easier for when somebody is they want to blame a victim. Okay. So they've decided. Oh boy, I didn't like that fact that guy just parked right there. People have to go around him. Oh boy, I was able to get around, but I was so worried I was going to get scratched my SUV on that. Anyway, in a way it makes it, because there is such a thing. I mean, there is some that people are a little bit too paranoid. But I think for someone who's been around people like that, they could become, one size doesn't fit all, any of this. They could become very cautious, distrusting, in the sense of, like I had just said earlier, don't believe everything you hear just because somebody seems, you just don't believe everything you hear, period. But these are people who are very manipulative. They know how to be, to sound trustworthy. It could be a stranger. Not a stranger, but could be a stranger actually. But somebody like you work with somebody, or it could be a family member. Like I said, you think over time they finally learn not to do that. They change their ways. I have yet to see that. Whoa, what is this? I've yet to see any of them ever change their ways. It's always something devious too. Often, not always, often something so devious. And then, like I said, they set it up to where they could set it up to where it seems like they've changed their ways, but they've got just this devious mind. Maybe they haven't had anybody else to do that to in a long while. And like I I said to somebody earlier, somebody you're not around all that often, or you don't speak to that often, and they just need that little bit of an outlet, for that time. That was kind of strange, interesting. Yeah, you missed it. I didn't have this turn right, but I don't know. Like I said, the person who is that person. I've been doing some little videos about, not little, but people in the neighborhood having strange situations. And of course, I've asked myself, could it just be me? That's another thing. Being around people like that, it could get to that point of always asking, questioning yourself. Could it be me? Am I? I know a lot of people, they do these strange things, or they lie and they do all this, but don't generalize it over to everybody. It's not everybody does that kind of behavior. So question yourself, could it be you? Even though people say trust your gut, sometimes your gut doesn't know what it's saying. Yeah, it doesn't know exactly 100%. Nothing is foolproof like that, in my view. You might have another view on that. But, yeah. I mean, I've had to do that recently, is saying, are all these little situations just really odd, little coincidental? Could it be me seeing them different? And so on and so forth. But, now, it's one of these things that it does, some people think that it's all narcissistic people, or like I say, narcissistic histrionic blend. Sometimes that's not necessarily the case. I have a few thoughts in my mind. It could be a really nice person. It could be actually a nice person, but they may have an addiction. Okay, an addiction doesn't have to be chemical dependency either. And wanting to do that, it could be something like playing games on computers or something like this, or it could be that the person does have that kind of addiction, alcoholism or whatever kind of drug addiction. Now, some would say, and I even question it, if these are people who are rather narcissistic and histrionic too. I wouldn't say 100%, but people get addicted to something and it just becomes their all, everything. But anyway, yeah, some people just lie. Some people, I have a hard time separating it from, honestly, to say that it's not everybody, because in a way it is. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up, and I'll talk to you on another video.